Mark Sconti reporting. Good morning. Sweet sounds of the piano. How's everybody doing? Marcus Conti reporting. Good morning. Good morning. We're live. We're live. We're live. Holy smokes, we're live here on YouTube. Welcome, world. Welcome to your world. We have lots of things happening in the world right now. And the one that struck me the most this morning was a state law is in the process of being passed in California under the good Gavin Newsom pertaining to medical misinformation. Now, I don't want to step on anybody's feet here on YouTube, but California makes it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians. Now, is that true? Is that a truth right there? Is California making it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians? To some degree, it appears to be true. Here's what I think is happening. I think that the medical profession in America is and worldwide in the West is being changed. What a doctor used to do back in the day, if you're in the medical profession or if you've ever been to a doctor, the doctor is in charge of taking care of your health based on a series of protocols, somewhat a agreed upon structure of what is perceived as being accurate. And anything outside of that is, I guess, art. You could call it medical art. But what we're coming to now is that in the age of computerization and the age of conformity and I guess hybriding different what am I trying to say? Hybriding different disciplines, right? Different disciplines, politics and medical are now the same, right? We handle doctors are less able, is what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say now. Doctors are less able to help you because they have a protocol that's becoming stricter and stricter and stricter to the point of you don't really need them anymore. Right? A doctor's work, maybe not the acute diagnostics of a disease, but overall, the work of a doctor is already computerized. You have these symptoms, and we'll sit at the doctor will go to the terminal and sit at the terminal and put in your disease or your symptoms, and out will come the protocol for what to do about those symptoms. Now, who programs that protocol is the fucking, the $1 million question. Who's telling the doctors what to do? Is it the CDC? Is it some agency higher than them? It is the politicians. It's the political weather of the moment that's dictating not only the medical profession, but a lot of other professions. And if you can't follow that, line of thinking, ask yourself this: did the political class have any influence whatsoever on your medical health during the pandemic? The answer is absolutely. You were required to get a vaccine. Truth. You were required to stay 6 feet away from people. You were required to wear a mask at all times, especially at certain times, like being on an airplane or whatever. Stay away, right? These are facts. These are factual events that occurred. People were fired for not, lost their jobs for not getting, following these rules, right? So what you have essentially, And a lot when shit is a lot of things are breaking down. I think a lot of systems as we know it are in the process of breaking down. The medical system is definitely one of them. And it becomes increasingly scary where when you're visiting a doctor, right? I don't go to doctors. I haven't been to a doctor in a long time. But if I do go to a doctor is going to tell someone like me, first of all, how come you haven't been to the doctor in 3 years? Because I feel fine. What advice do I need from a doctor? And in the doctor's mind, the doctor will say, oh, this is a non-compliant person. This is a person that doesn't understand medicine and current protocol and the health. And then they'll ask you personal questions, maybe about a vaccine, and then they'll you know what I mean? They'll then push into your life based on their agenda without looking at the fact that the real question is when someone like me, for example, walks into a medical facility and they start probing me and testing me, it doesn't, they're not asking the right questions. They're not able anymore to ask the right questions. Do you eat good food? Do you exercise? Do you meditate? Do you drink water when you're supposed to? Do you eliminate, take yourself out of stressful situations and let people, combust on their own? Do you do these things? Doctors will never ask you any of those questions. They will ask you, have you gotten this injection or that injection? They will ask you, have you gotten a colonoscopy? Have you had a 12-inch wide, 12-inch in diameter tube stuffed up your ass with a camera lately? Have you done that? You're 50. You have to. They'll ask you those types of questions. And if you say nothing or respectfully decline, they look at you as a non-compliant and dangerous. Because why? Because that's the protocol. The protocol is coming from Big Pharma. We need people to test. We need people to take our pills. And you could see the danger there, obviously. Look at children, for example. A child is prescribed a drug that will prevent him from being disruptive in a classroom. Little Johnny is disruptive, and we don't know why. Maybe he has some family problems. And Johnny sits in the room, and he shoots spitballs at the guy the kid across the table from him, and he's drawing on the table, and he's playing on his computer in his pocket, right? He's uncompliant, right? And so he's non-compliant, and then the teacher tells him, Johnny, stop it, and he protests because he thinks he's allowed to do all of these things, and then the teacher deems him as a behavioral problem, and Johnny is then put on Ritalin and Adderall. And Johnny goes into a stupor. Young Johnny at 6 years old is sitting at his desk like this, drooling on himself on his Ritalin. So Johnny and his mother and his father say, no, we're not going to have our son on this Ritalin anymore because he's drooling on himself and he doesn't know what he's doing. It's hurting him. The parent is saying, and so you go one step further, and then the kid comes to school, and he didn't take his Ritalin, which was now medically required of him. And you see how it snowballs into a really bad situation. You've got a child now trapped in a medical trap where, there's no getting out of it now. Any action against the protocol then becomes an issue of, it could even be child abuse. You didn't give your child the medication that he needs, therefore it's child abuse, and you're going to jail. Right? There's a story of a basketball player guy who apparently smacked his child in the airport. and was arrested for assault, for disciplining his child. Now, I'm not saying the transmission of violence to a kid from a parent is right, but that's the parent, right? That's the parent, the highest authority of a child. So anyway, we're gonna dance around that subject of what do doctors, what is the job of medical people anymore? Is it really to have a true inherent opinion, an inherent view of what is happening with someone's health, and then being able to transmit that health and that information and tailor it to their specific needs? Or is it the protocol right here says, because someone before us said it, that this is what you have to do or you're in trouble? Think about that for a while. So here's my thumbnail today. Doctors, you know, we love people who want to be doctors and nurses and help other people. But we also want to keep the field in check, so it's actually them doing it and not someone telling them to do something that is either harmful later or simply unproven. So we're gonna look into some of that, the value of a medical degree today. My name is Marcus Conti, and I have a website. Are we still live on YouTube? Are we allowed to speak? So far, so good. So far, so good. It looks like I guess, are we live? I don't know. I don't know what live means. Oh, yeah, we're still connected and green. And where's my flashing lights? I usually have a series of flashing colored lights, but I don't see those anymore. The lights are gone. I don't know. Something changed. Oh, there it is. Something changed. All right. So anyway, bear with me. Bear with me in my search for truth. Welcome everybody. Truth Lady is here. Jonty Takray, who's watching us in a semi. I read your comment, Jonte. Is watching our show and or listening to our show in a semi, rolling down the fucking highway somewhere in Oregon. So thank you for joining me. Weevil Girl is here. Our meditation master is here. Me So Hungry as well. Jane Tonez, Andy Garcia, and Mike Milk is here as well. And everybody else, Jim Gerard, good morning, Jim, is here as well. Stephen in the UK is here. That's Weesty. How are you, mate? And Mad Cow Mark, Cass Philly, Camden. Sounds like you're in Philadelphia. Camden, right? Or Pennsylvania. So anyway, thank you everybody for joining me. This is not a conspiracy show. We're not talking about any conspiracies that one might care to examine. We're just talking about the headlines and the ramifications of things. This is called dancing around the fact. Right? We're dancing. Right? I'm doing the dance right now. I'm doing the dance. Right? So I have that website here, and we're across many platforms. Every morning we're live somewhere at 9 a.m. Right now we're on YouTube, and we love YouTube. We love YouTube. We pray and hope and meditate for YouTube to become balanced, and we pray for equilibrium for YouTube so that they are not attacked, and they don't have to attack the content creators because they're being attacked. Every morning there's a video up. Right now we're talking about war and famine and energy crises in Europe and stock markets crashing and war, people blowing up each other's bridges and pipelines and forcing others to comply. That's what we're talking about today. If you missed the show live, where you can watch the rerun on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Facebook, Twitter, Getter, Truth Social, many platforms available for you to watch the show. And join us every morning at 9 a.m. Become part of the studio audience, all the way on the other side of the screen is a live chatter from people, real people, 31 of which are watching right now, who are chitter chattering about the presentation right now. These are real people reacting in real time without any filter whatsoever. They are speaking openly and freely in real time. Imagine that, right? It's like almost a throwback from the like a time gone by where people actually communicated in real time without any technological filter to steer you in the direction of what you're supposed to talk about and what you simply can't talk about. Right? George Orwell was right about 1984. The incredible need and or want to control people's thought process. I think that's what's happening. I'm not controlled, man. I'm fucking free, man. I'm a free person. So let's start here. Ukrainians show resolve in face of Putin's terrorism. We should follow their lead, says an opinion. I want to explore some of the opinions of this particular publication, the New York Post. Look at the hardened face of Putin. This is the face of everything you should be afraid of and everything that is against our values. Put it all on Putin's face. In 2019, the glass bridge, there's a glass bridge in Kiev. The structure is an elevated sidewalk with glass-bottomed segments connected to one of the city's hilliest parks and offering stunning views to cyclists, runners, and families on a weekend stroll. So apparently someone targeted the glass bridge with missiles. Somebody wanted to blow the bridge up, and they missed. In response to Ukraine's successful attack on the Kerch Bridge connecting occupying Crimea with mainland Russia, a Russian missile, one of several exploding in Kiev's capital, almost hit the glass bridge Monday morning, exploding in a nearby wooded area. What's the point of the story? He's bad, and there's war right now, and people are throwing bombs at each other all over Europe. Right? Ukraine is gone. Ukraine, as we know it, is now Russia. Ukraine has fallen to Russian control. That seems to be a given. No matter what the West does, no matter how many bombs we throw at them or threaten them with, or how much shit we blow up, the West has already broadcasted to Russia that they will not commit ground troops in Ukraine at all. So Putin is saying, well, that's great. Then we'll just bomb it, and then and the West will eventually go away and succumb. Right? But look at some of these opinions. Instead of undermining morale, terrorism only strengthens the resolve of Ukrainians to chase out the invaders. Right? So both sides are calling each other terrorists. The Russians are terrorizing us by bombing our shit. The Russians are calling the Ukrainians terrorists for blowing up their pipeline and blowing up their other stuff, their bridge. Everybody's a terrorist. Everybody is the aggressor. The West must not let itself be deterred by Russia's nuclear threats. For one, and contrary to President Biden's loose talk of a looming Armageddon, the risk is not a strategic nuclear exchange between Russia and U.S. It is conceivably, though, that the Kremlin will decide to use a small battlefield nuke in a Hail Mary maneuver aimed to break Ukraine morale. There was a line in here that I wanted to read. I forgot what I wanted to say about this. I don't know. I guess I lost my train of thought on this, but let's look at the pictures anyway. People are definitely blowing each other up. Um, no doubt about it. Ukraine on fire. Morale. Oh yeah, it. Let's see this. It fits a pattern that's all too familiar. I want to read it from the top. Other targets hit in Kiev the same morning, include a children's playground and a university across Ukraine cities. The morning barrage of rockets left 11 dead and dozens injured. A day earlier, Russian artillery hit an apartment building, killing 13 Russian president, killing 13. Putin pledged a continuation of this, to use his word brutal response to Ukraine's military successes. A brutal response to Ukraine's military successes. What Ukraine military successes are you talking about? It fits a pattern that's all too familiar. Incapable of winning the war. Here, this is the line I wanted to read. Listen to this. Incapable of winning the war on the battlefield, the Kremlin is trying to terrorize Ukrainian citizens into submission. What are you talking about? Where is Russia incapable of winning on the battlefield? They are winning on the battlefield. This is war. There are no set rules of war. Russia's winning. They're pushing the Americans out. They're annexing parts of Ukraine, and Ukraine is submitting to that aggression. So, you can't say that Russia, is incapable of winning the war on the battlefield. That's propaganda. The Kremlin is trying to terrorize Ukrainian citizens into submission. Yeah, that's what war is. Terrorize the other side. Oh, you're using the word terror as in terrorism, meaning something unwarlike. Terrorism is war. Terrorism is a form of warfare, right? That's what it is. Much like Hamas and Hezbollah are trying to terrorize the Israelis. Is the author of this opinion a Jew? Probably, right? He's bringing it back to Hamas are trying to terrorize the Israelis, and now the Nazis hoped that they could reverse their looming. This is insane rabbit hole opinion of what's happening in the war in Ukraine. You got to go back. Power vacuum. America creates a power vacuum in Ukraine by vilifying the presidency. Right? That's what we did. America has enormous influence in Ukraine. In 2020, America vilified Zelensky, the president of the nation, for siding with the evil outgoing president Donald Trump for collusion. And Trump was impeached. Zelensky vilified. Why? Because Joe Biden lost a little face and was caught with his son doing dirty deeds in the Ukraine. I can't have that. Vilify the entire nation of Ukraine and his affiliation with Trump, make them both go away. And what do you have? You have an enormous power vacuum in the Ukraine. And who filled it? This guy right here. This guy says, fucking Ukraine was Russia anyway. Let's just take it back. And it would have been much smoother if not for the Americans pumping $500 billion in arms into Ukraine. So that's really what's going on. And people still getting attacked on the fucking subway. Look at this. More weapons so that you, Ukraine, can blow more of their shit up or deflect their bombs and throw your own bombs. Right? That's the American response to it. Not de-escalate the violence, but throw gas, throw fucking nuclear on the problem. So immediately upon Monday's major wave of airstrikes on dozens of cities across Ukraine, the Zelensky government renewed its appeal for Washington to urgently send more anti-defense systems to help, quote, close the skies, as Zelensky had earlier in the war said to Congress. Zelensky is a disease at this point in the war. Don't listen to him. Zelensky is a defeated leader. Never, ever, ever to have power again. The Americans are not going to let him have power. The Russians will throw him in jail if they get their hands on him, or maybe hang him publicly, kill him. So anyway, that's the parts of war. Meanwhile, in Europe, Europeans are buying firewood and stoves to stay warm. But I thought we are the first world. We're first world, and all those other peasants, in Pakistan and India are third world, and in Africa, and Somalia and Kenya, that's the third world. But they're not in a place where they're going to freeze to death if they don't stop burning wood. Right? They're not in a recession. They're not going fucking backwards. Europe is going backwards. Why can't Europe warm their homes? Because the price of things has gone out of control. The value of commodities has skyrocketed, right? The value of their money has plummeted. Yeah, that's what's happening, right? So there you go. America blows up a pipeline in the Baltic Sea that's coming from Russia, right, for futuristic carrying of natural resources, and America blows it up while Europeans need that shit. They'll take gas from anybody who will sell it to them cheap, right? If Russia puts natural gas on the trading block for cheap, Europe's going to buy it. So what does America and the West do? Blow up their shit and force the Europeans to buy from Exxon and fucking, the other oil companies and gas companies that control the gas fields in Central Europe. So there you go. The sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline system underneath the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany sparked even more energy uncertainty among Germans. So there you go, man. Break it out, Europe. Suck it up, man. Suck it up and buy some fucking wood. Start chopping down anything you can get your hands on, man. Anything that's wood, man. You got 5 rooms in your house? Take one of them down and burn the wood to stay warm in the other 4. Right? Or just stay cold, man. Stay cold. We're already doing it in America. It's 46 degrees outside, and I heat myself. I got a hat and jacket on here in America, and I also have an electric heater because I don't turn that shit on, man. I turn on gas and oil and heat the whole house, and it'll cost me $1,000 a month, right? Whereas this thing maybe like $29 every few months. And I stay warm in my little area, right? That's where we're becoming. We're the first world, the great American, European fucking empire, right? As we Colossal Bigfoot says, I have an early 1900s stove with 2 removable eyes. So heat and cooking no matter what electric company says. Yeah, man. Man, yeah, all you need is wood, right? If you have land, go knock down some trees in the spring, and by fall they'll be dry enough to chop up and burn, right? You got to start looking around in the woods for wood to burn, right? Burn shit. Jane Tone says, send solar blankets and granola bars. Yeah, man. There's so many trees on the ground, you can just forage, says Colossal Bigfoot. I agree with that, right? Trees fall all the time. You got to go out into the woods, especially when you're camping. You go find the trees that are down or that are still standing up but are dead, and you cut them and burn them. Right? So this is real. California makes it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians. Now, let's see how real that is. I talked about it in the monologue, but let's go through it again. Conformity of thought is now required, whether it is online, on college campuses, or if you're in California, in a physician-patient relationship. So in America, we've already seen the relationship between lawyers and people disintegrate fastly. Right? And I think that's a good thing. I think people should represent themselves. We're now seeing the medical profession and and its relationship to regular people starting to disintegrate. However, it's being replaced with forced conformity. And there we have the problem. As I said earlier, I'm someone who doesn't really go to doctors. And if I did, I'm going to do it as an experiment. And I want to see how badly they lean on me to do certain things that I have not done without revealing the specifics of any of those things. Everything that has transpired medically over the past 3 years, I have not done because I haven't been to a doctor. And I'm pretty fucking healthy. If you don't think so, yesterday I ran 5 miles. If you want to film me running those 5 miles, barely breathing and barely sweating, you're welcome to do that. Come out on a run with me, shut your hole and observe, and you will see someone who is entirely in their own domain, taking care of themselves. You'll learn how that actually works. Then you'll see the subject sit quietly and meditate. You'll then see the subject drink water and eat healthy food. And the mystery will begin to unfold as to how does this human being stay healthy without us? He's laying out in the sun in October. How? Why is he laying out on a beach chair in his backyard, soaking up the sun? Doesn't that we were told that gives you cancer. You see what I'm talking about? That the medical, there's a cognitive dissonance between what the medical profession is telling people and what is actually happening in people's lives. Without being specific about any one thing, it's happening across the board. Do you understand that the medical profession is now in a place where nobody respects our judgment anymore because it's all been conformatized. It's all been made into a package. Right? You do, doctors, you don't have to make up your mind. You don't have to use your judgment anymore. We're going to lower the requirements for doctors anyway. Medical schools are lowering their standards left, right, and center. They're letting people in the door for the skin color, not for their intellect, not for their obvious higher intelligence, but we're looking at skin color instead and national origin, right? Not merit, not talent, but something else, right? So you already see the deterioration in medical schools for letting in people that are not really capable of practicing the medical arts as we once knew it. But any jerk off, anybody who could get a bachelor's degree from some stupid college on the corner can be a doctor today. You can get a degree in nursing, which is not necessarily easy, but it's not necessarily complicated anymore. And you could be, you could diagnose disease, you could do all these things because it's all protocol. Right? And if you think that's medical misinformation, it is not. Medical doctors have what are called physician's assistants. They have head nurses who do a lot of the work of doctors anyway. There's only one doctor sometimes signing off on, other professionals that are making many, many decisions based on what that doctor says. And that doctor is simply following a protocol that's, written down in the fucking, in a book somewhere. So, Weevil Girl says, Marcus, it's a cognitive dissonance. Well said. Yeah, I say some good things sometimes. Sometimes it takes me a while to unwind what I'm trying to say. And, but that's actually a good thing. I think the 1 hour format, what I find, and I guess this is, flying into the unknown, but when you do something like this type of platform where you continue the train of thought, not for 1 minute or 5 minutes, but for an hour, you begin to unveil and reveal certain inalienable truths that you wouldn't have done on your own in a snap decision. You come to that place as the show, as time unravels. So let's look at what's going on. PayPal recently introduced a $2,500 fine for anyone sending, posting, or publicating any message, any content, any material that, at their sole discretion, promotes misinformation. There's no, and that rule was obviously scrapped because there is no solid set information that is truthful. Everything is subjective. Everything is changing, right? We hire people to make those judgment calls. And then somewhere above them, someone cancels out the person below them and assumes power. And right now in America, you've got politicians that don't really know anything about medicine or protocol or what the medical arts really are, dictating protocol to those very people, right? And who's dictating to the politicians making those decisions? Oh, well, it's Big Pharma. Well, it's the big banking industry. It's the Fortune 500 companies. It's the S&P 500 companies. It's the NASDAQ 100 companies. It's the companies that make up the Dow Jones Industrial Average, pressuring and giving money to the politicians who make the protocol that force you, when you're sitting in that doctor's office and the doctor is looking right through you as a person who does not know what they're doing. That is the connotation. This person has not been to us in many years. This person needs our help and cannot see a way out of it. They are in trouble. They must follow the protocol. I, doctor, must report them to the higher agencies for not following the protocol and endangering other people for the statement that I take care of myself. Think about it. Think about that for 1 second. So Gavin Newsom recently signed California Assembly Bill 2098, making it the first state to attempt to censor what physicians can say about the deadly virus, COVID-19, to their patients. Right? The government, some outgoing governor in California is lobbying to censor doctors in what they can say. Right? Why is government dictating what doctors can say? I thought we empowered doctors to look at the science and say what they see. Isn't that what we train them to do? Well, not anymore. We train them to follow orders. We train them to follow protocol. And we, at our sole discretion, will fill in that protocol. We will dictate the protocol. Not you. We. And who are we? Who are they, you ask? In this case, follow the train of thought. Follow the train of professionals. It's clearly politicians, and clearly the money interest. Clearly. So the statute that Governor Newsom is trying to impose, quote, "It shall constitute unprofessional conduct for a physician and surgeon to disseminate misinformation or disinformation related to COVID-19, including false or misleading information regarding the nature and risk of the virus, its prevention and treatment, and the development, safety, and effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines." That's what the state of California is making illegal for physicians to discuss with their patients. Huh? So why would me, go to a physician under those circumstances? Anything coming out of the doctor's mouth regarding my health in that area, they're not allowed to talk about. They're only allowed to follow what they are being told to follow. Whatever they believe is not important. Whatever they find in their pursuit of the medical profession to be true, in their lifelong pursuit to help patients, is not important. All that matters is what we tell you to fucking do. And if you don't do it, bang, you're in trouble. You're going to lose your license. You're not going to be able to practice medicine anymore. That's what Gavin Newsom wants to do to physicians. They say, well, that's an overreaction. We have to follow the science. No, the doctors are the fucking science. That's who we train to be at the front lines of the science, to use their judgment, to use their lifelong expertise, not some jackoff sitting running for office in California. Don't you understand? So there you go. There you go, doctors. It is. I don't know if the bill will be signed, but you certainly have a governor pushing to make it happen. Right? Amazing, right? Amazing. I'll read it again because why not? It shall constitute unprofessional conduct for a physician or surgeon to disseminate mis or disinformation related to this thing right here, including false or misleading information regarding the natures and risk. Right? What is mis or disinformation? Don't we get to what is true by discussing it, by examining what is actually happening? No. We have a protocol, Mr. Conte. You don't understand. we have a protocol that says you must be injected many, many times with this substance or you're in trouble. And I am legally not allowed to discuss it with you because you are fucking wrong. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about this. I could lose my license for discussing your health with you about your inability to conform to what I'm telling you to do. Whether I believe it or not, see, my opinion doesn't matter as a doctor, patient. I no longer, you're old fashioned. You're going back to a time where people had opinions and they had, they discussed things with each other and they decided what is best for them and their children and their lives. But we don't live in that sort of world anymore because those types of decisions that you make for yourself are hurting fucking me, man. Your medical decision is going to get me sick, man. I can't believe these people, they won't do what they're told to do. Look at that one over there. He's coughing. Look at that one over there. He's sneezing without a mask. Oh, my God. I'm going to die because this fucking conservative Republican, this person trying to take care of themselves is getting me fucking sick. How dare you say running will make you healthy? How dare you say eating good food will make you healthy? How dare you say not injecting yourself with many, 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 many pharmaceuticals and forcing your children to swallow pills is bad? How dare you say something like that? I'm out on a rant today. I'll come back to earth. Hi, my name is Marcus Conte. I'm having a good time today. How you having it? I don't know. I don't know what it sounds like to listen to me rant like that, but it certainly feels good. I get a load off my chest when I do that, man. Feels good, man. So, but thank you for listening to that train of thought. And it almost comes back to skillful means, right? How do you protect yourself without getting into the debate, right? Avoiding the debate, right? Because if someone, for example, if a doctor says, "Have you had your vaccines?" and you say, "Oh, no, I haven't been to a doctor in years," they'll say in protocol will say, "Well, you must get your vaccine or you're medically in trouble." They have to say that. And what is your response? Will your response be, "Well, I don't believe in vaccines," and now you're going into a different area of something else? Or, "Oh yeah, I've had my vaccine a long time ago, but you know what I mean? Like you're now being you're now placing yourself into some sort of category of non-compliance. Right? It's a trap and a rabbit hole. And I feel for the doctors that, wanted to be doctors. Look, a lot of doctors, at least in my view, a lot of people go into the medical profession to get very, very rich and make a lot of money. And that's not the right reason to go into the medical field. If I were trained as a doctor and I was working in this scenario right here, I would leave. I couldn't work in that environment knowing what I know. I knew this when I was 19 and 20 and 21, and I left the medical profession as a clinical dietitian many years ago. I left it because I saw that. I was like, it was more subtle back in the 80s and 90s, but now it's gone to so extreme and so ridiculous that why would you want to be in a profession that I'd rather be a guy who comes out every morning and speaks truth and get attacked left, right, and center, but finds love in doing it. My connection to you guys watching and my connection to my, my to the universe, to God, or whatever the hell it is. Right? So, and that is definitely 100% not any pot logic. Right? That is straight up fact, man. The statute, so I read that 4 times already. So California requires the Medical Board of California to take action up to and including license revocation against any licensed physician charged with unprofessional conduct. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine the setup right now? Some jackoff walks into your office and you ask him about vaccine or colonoscopy, or, well, in this case it's vaccine, and you say, as a doctor, it's not me saying it, it's the doctor maybe saying it, saying, oh yeah, I don't believe in those vaccines, I'm with you. For that, he could lose his license for his speech. Lose his license for saying such a horrible, dangerous thing because some authority says it's illegal. Sorry, this is the rules. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. I thought the medical profession were fucking saviors. 2 years ago, they were saints. They were the front lines. They were so good. They were God sent. They were heroes. They were heroes. Medical profession were heroes. Now, shut the fuck up and put your mask on. Damn it. So, there you go, man. I'm not making it up, man. Key to CDC referendum is undoing mission creep. I don't know what these people are talking about. I don't really care. Let's flip to the markets. Ding! Markets going down again. They don't care. Markets keep going down, man. There you go. Dow sheds another 69 points. NASDAQ down another 135. I'm getting totally fucking hosed right now. I'm now half of my wealth because of the market going down. I don't blame anybody for it. Apple down another $1.40. Amazon down. What's the problem, man? It's recession. It's choking, right? The medical profession is running scared, right? They don't know what to fucking do anymore. Nobody knows what to do anymore, right? There's a total breakdown in systems. Now, I thought it had broken down earlier, but it seems to be breaking down way more until it gets really fucking ugly. So the markets are down again. Let's hear Jamie Dimon, the great Wall Street philanthropist who's usually right about a lot of things. Now, when you listen to Jamie Dimon, the first part of what he's going to talk about is riddles. It's only a minute and a half. And then the second part, it makes sense. Nobody knows exactly what he's talking about because he knows too much about markets. But let's listen to Jamie Dimon, a Jew from New York.
Back, as you can see there, stocks at the lows of the session. I want to play now at least the first soundbite that I mentioned from Jamie Dimon over in Europe with our CNBC Europe reporter there about the stock market, a recession and what might happen.
You see early signs of distress. So you saw it. I mean, this again is fairly typical. You know, markets go down for people forecast the economy, et cetera. The IPO market closes first. That's kind of happened. High yield closes second, and structured credit. That's kind of happened.
He just rattled off 3 things that are hard to understand. He rattled off IPO market, credit market. Listen to it again, right? He knows what he's talking about. He's telling you the indicators for a crash,
et cetera. The IPO market closes first. That's kind of happened. High yield closes second, and structured credit. That's kind of happened for the most part.
That's 3 things he rattles off, telling you that a crash is imminent. Jamie Dimon, the leader of J.P. Morgan, CEO of J.P. Morgan.
Things can get done, and then it starts to affect other credit. You saw it with the gilt markets here. You see a lack of liquidity and a
lot of yield markets.
It's a lot of intermediaries can't intermediate like we used to because of regulations.
Regulations.
It is going to happen. And I think the likely place you're going to see more of a crack and maybe a little bit more of a panic is in credit markets.
So he's predicting the credit markets will crack, right? People don't have the money to pay for the credit that they took out. And that causes a big fucking problem because then the banks go belly up.
And it might be ETFs, it might be a country, it might be
It might be the ETFs, he said.
something you don't suspect. If you make a list of all the prior crises, sitting here, we would not have predicted where they came from. Though I think you can predict it this time that it probably will happen. And so if I was out there, I'd be very cautious. If you need money, go raise it.
So Jamie Dimon is saying he's not really drumming up the failures. He's telling you what's actually happening right now. And long story short, Jamie Dimon is making a prediction that there's more cracks to come, man. Right? So there you go, man. So anyway, my name is Marcus Conte. Thank you all for joining me. We have 49 people watching. Thank you, world. Thank you for watching this rant. Watch it again. Watch it 3 times. Tell people about the rant. And thank you for watching the whole show. I tend to get warmed up midway, and I hope that was informative. I tried to, without stepping on too many people's feet, I tried to show you where the medical profession is getting fucking stepped on and forced. So when you see YouTube forcing guys like me to shut the fuck up, right? You tend to know where it's coming from, right? Everybody has the man. Everybody is paying attention to the man. If I don't curb my language, I have nobody to speak to. I'll be outside speaking to myself. I'll be on the mountaintop between me and God. And that's a good place. It's a good place to be, but Truth Lady says, thank you, Marcus. Truth, first thing in the morning. Yeah, I guess it's truth. It's my truth. If I speak my truth and it resonates with you, it must be true for us, right? We are one, right? Another point. A lot of people on channels like this see themselves as I and other. Oh, Conti, he's against us. Oh, he's with us. No, everybody in this chat who's watching the show, I am you. You are me. We are one. We are the same. I'm the same as you. I'm not any different. I'm just a guy who has some talent to play the fucking piano, man. I let everybody know it. Peace, everybody. Marcus Conte reporting.